record this time. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and with me, as always, is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're going to start and kick off our holiday-spirited podcasty holidayness with a partial review and partial reflection episode. And what better way to reflect on Christmas cheer with all those near than to talk about the movie that's always on cable and usually edited, Christmas Vacation.
What's cable anymore?
Oh, sit down, Danny. I'll tell you a story.
Man, so funny thing about just cable in general, I didn't have it until I was like 13 years old. And then I had it and I definitely appreciated it. And then I got the cord and I haven't had cable since 2010, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, America's sweetheart. I mean, let's give it up for Chevy Chase. What is your origin with this movie? How many times have you seen it? It seems like this is an American classic.
I would venture to say that it is. I think that there's a few movies that every family in America has been exposed to excessively on and around Christmas. And they change as time goes on, but a few have considerable lasting power. You've got your Miracle on 34th Streets. You've got your It's a Wonderful Life. You've got The Christmas Story, and you've got Christmas Vacation. And for those of us that were lucky enough to grow up in the households that could identify with the dysfunction and disorganization and good old-fashioned family fun of the Griswolds, this became a staple. So I've seen this thing on a yearly basis multiple times for decades. And I celebrate it, as you can see.
I have not seen this movie all the way through ever until today. I've seen it multiple times, like on, here's some clips here, there on cable. And it just never grabbed me to where I'm like, oh, okay. I'm sure I've watched it for 30-minute increments to where it's like, oh, it's on cable, but then I probably flip to WWF Monday Night Raw or something like that after that, just when I had cable. And yeah, I did see the regular Vacation movie in its entirety multiple times, but not this one, or European Vacation. But yeah, that's where I'm at on this movie. And since it's been a long time, I remember being there a whole lot more substance in the movie, but perhaps that's just because I was younger and I didn't really think that much about movie plot, movie storylines, things like that.
You really have negative things to say about Christmas Vacation?
There will be some, not negative things, just observations. And then, yeah, probably some negative things. Let's be honest. There'll be some negative things on this. Right off the bat, first scene is the Griswolds trekking to find a Christmas tree. So before we get into that, were you a fresh Christmas tree kind of guy growing up?
So when I was a little kid, like in the early 80s, I remember having a real Christmas tree. I also remember how much of a pain in the ass a real Christmas tree was. Are you a real Christmas tree family or are you a fake Christmas tree family?
Fake Christmas tree. There may have been one time that we had a real Christmas tree. Maybe one time. And I do remember having a fake one for years upon years where, you've got the color-coded branches that you stick in individually. Oddly enough, one of my very first jobs was working at a place that sold Christmas trees all the time. And yeah, those were so much more well built in comparison to the one that I had and a lot more convenient. But yeah, no fresh trees for me.
Oh, the fresh tree was a nightmare. The your presents would be covered in pine needles. You'd have to water it a bunch to keep the needles on it, and cleaning up after it was an ordeal.
I know that that's the case because us as salespeople at the previous company that I worked for would always say that as a con. And this is why you should buy artificial trees.
Man,
And another thing that we said as a con against natural trees was like, you have to worry about deer urine and the smell of it. Who the fuck ever
you know
had
what?
a
You know
Christmas
what that
tree
is?
smell like deer
That's
urine?
an all-American sales pitch right there, my friend. All-American, America, deer urine.
I always thought that that was the most ridiculous thing to say, is that you have to worry about deer urine because deers are going to piss on all trees, every single one of them that you would get, every single one of them.
That's so much that is borderline. The bears can smell the menstruation. Like, we're so close to that. Look at the bears; they smell it. Now you're putting the whole station in danger.
I am not ashamed to say that I would say that.
I mean, it sounds like you harbor some guilt for your deception.
For that job, there was plenty. There was deception aplenty at that job, or at least embellishment aplenty, because you can only go. And at the time, like I said, very first job, and I was very impressionable. I was going to sell how I was taught. And if I could go back to my original self, I would say, don't listen to those people because they're all full of shit. And you know it. Just go with your heart and say and speak from the heart because what a bunch of, if there was any ridiculous just stories about work, that would be the one that I could talk about like a 10-hour podcast about, is that particular job. And there are a few people that listen and watch this that used to work there or maybe still do work there. Yeah, they know what I'm talking about.
So I should not shop there ever, is what you're saying?
No. You can absolutely shop there. It's a mecca of Christmas items, and I probably wouldn't recommend anywhere else to go besides Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, any other place,
Amazon.
maybe Amazon. So yeah. But in all seriousness, it has a lot of stuff, and I'm being a little bit vague about it because I don't want to get sued. But it has a lot of things, and all in one place.
Hey,
all in one place.
That's such an American way of doing business.
Convenient. And if it's a sale, I mean, come on.
I mean, isn't there always a sale somewhere?
In America, I mean, what better sale than a
Christmas?
Sale? Exactly.
What better? Man.
Oh, gosh. So that first scene with the Christmas tree.
A lot of sap.
Yeah. So everything is right off the bat. Everything is going wrong. I did think it was freaking hilarious that I forgot that Juliette Lewis was in this movie. And when they're all standing in front of the Christmas tree, it was illuminated, and Juliette Lewis can't even blink. She's not even talking because her eyes are frozen. Just the fact that Beverly D'Angelo says, like, she'll look at it later. Her eyes are frozen right now. That was funny to me. And Chevy Chase is just like marveling at it. Good looking tree, and your daughter is dying of hypothermia. But yeah.
Have you ever, this movie to me is every suburban dad who's balancing and struggling and not comfortable at work and doing a job that they hate because their family can live a better life and is happy. And the wife knows he hates it, but he can't quit, so she has to help him bear it. And that's what this movie is to me. And it's those awkward Christmas moments that happen when your parents try really, really hard to give you moments that maybe they felt they missed out on as kids, or maybe his parents were either unreasonably wealthy and able to do things that, normal families couldn't, or maybe they were just like those cleaver families that are always supportive of each other, like 1 in 50 families in America today that are happy, right? And don't just want to punch each other in the face. And he's really trying. And Beverly D'Angelo in this movie, bless her heart, is just trying to be supportive and understands he's trying to put all the effort in the world into it. And he's just like failing.
I have a hard time relating to that because of my upbringing. So for me, the only time that I really saw what you just described is on television, in movies, because what I was exposed to when I was younger is like, there wasn't, there was my family and then others, which we never really got close to, or we didn't have like neighbors to where it's like, hey, neighbor, want to come over and hang out and barbecue for the holiday or something like that, like, or whatever, right? That just didn't exist for me. And so it's very foreign to me of what you're describing, besides what I see on media, movies, television. And the one that I think did it better, that I could definitely relate and appreciate based off of what you said, was Married with Children. But there's one small difference, is that the wife was definitely not supportive. But there is something that during those special times, everyone rallied around the Bundys. The Bundy family would always come together when they needed to. They would talk shit about each other all the time. But when they needed came together.
When they needed to, there was a Yo Bundy, and we were together on it. I'm with you.
Absolutely. That was one of the things that was very interesting to me about this family and the Griswold family. They don't, I mean, the parents love the kids. The kids, I think, are maybe the stereotypical teenager.
You'll get there soon with your kids, buddy.
Yeah, right. The stereotypical teenager that just doesn't like their parents or thinks everything is lame. And so that's where it was like, I didn't like the kids as much in that.
You didn't like Johnny Galecki? You want to know how he got off the Roseanne Street and into Christmas Vacation?
I was surprised to see him there, but one of the running jokes for all the Lampoon Vacation movies is Rusty's always played by somebody different, and so he's not my Rusty.
But they've all been like solid actors, though.
Is Johnny Galecki a solid actor?
Johnny Galecki is one of the most successful television actors in the history of the world.
Is he? Well, okay, all right. Successful meaning he's been on. Yes, okay, I get that. But do you ever, if you were a Hollywood casting agent, do you ever go down the list like, we need a heavy hitter like Johnny Galecki, that guy from Big Bang Theory? That's who we need. I don't know. I've never. Maybe I have such a distaste for sitcom television, and that's the reason as to why that I'm not like a huge fan of his. And I didn't really watch Big Bang Theory. I appreciated some of the episodes, and I liked the whole nerd culture type of thing. Obviously, hey, I like a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I just never got into the movie or the TV show.
Yeah. I think he's the second best Rusty. He's number 2 on my Rusty list.
I would go 3.
Oh man.
Got Anthony Michael Hall, Ed Helms as the older Rusty, because he carries on the Griswold tradition of the dad being just a guy that's trying hard and just can't win.
I have not accepted Ed Helms as my Rusty Griswold. in this remake. Nor have I watched it because it's just why? Why can I just watch regular Vacation? Because it's amazing.
What did you think of Chevy Chase in these movies before, and then now what do you think about him? Just kind of seeing his persona unfolds with Hollywood and his reputation now. Has it changed at all?
So these are some of my favorite Chevy Chase roles, right? The original Fletch, Spies Like Us with Dan Aykroyd, all the original '80s Chevy Chase is great. This is like the character he was born to play. As his fame rose and his desirability waned, it taxed Chevy Chase, I feel like, and it made him angry at the world. He also lost all his hair. That'll do something to you. So now for him to be kind of a cranky old man, I mean, he's kind of old. And
But viewing him in this movie, do you look back as like, oh yeah, he is kind of a prick?
no, I compartmentalize completely. Just like I compartmentalize Randy Quaid. I mean, Chevy Chase is like vanilla ice cream compared to fucking Rocky Road Randy Quaid, who somehow was related to Dennis Quaid, best smile in Hollywood.
Randy Quaid is just crazy.
But in this movie, he plays a crazy person, which, I mean, fits. And who doesn't have a crazy uncle? Or several.
Yeah.
Every family has a loon.
Yeah. He was the perfect loon. One of I think that he's probably more memorable than Clark, right?
Well, I mean, he's got probably the most quoted line from the movie.
Yeah. I think I remember the meme more so than the movie itself.
Yeah. So we were kind of all over the place. And I want to kind of walk through this movie because I think it takes so many good turns that that make it relatable. I think I'm going to change your mind about this movie by the time we're done here.
You might.
So,
I mean, I think I like it more based off of what you said earlier than when I was watching it.
Just to give it some context. No, I love it. It. So when you're watching it, right, you start with the family outing for the Christmas tree, right? We all got to decorate together. That's what that moment is. Where for me, it was always my mom who pushed the gas on. Well, let's decorate as a family. Like nobody wants to put Christmas decorations up alone, but it's a time of togetherness and revelry, And it's like, oh, let's put up the Christmas tree and have fun. Did you have that moment?
I mean, there's a few times that I think because I used to see that on TV, I wanted that, but we never really had that.
I've got to ask because I feel like our listeners need to know. Did you have more of a Christmas Vacation Christmas growing up or more of the end of Christmas Story Christmas growing up? And I could get canceled for this question.
Don't. So no, we did vacations and stuff, but the difference between my Christmas growing up was there's the idea of Christmas and vacations, right? There's the idea of Christmas that you see on TVs and everything. And like we had a tree, there were Christmas lights up. It was nothing extravagant like the Griswolds or anything like that. So I can't say that I didn't have holidays, but the spirit of the holidays was absolutely absent, if that makes sense. There was gifts, there were vacations, there were Christmas decorations, there were holiday parties, but it was all more of like going through the motions of it as opposed to 10 days till Christmas.
That's why this movie should speak to you because of the majority of the time, both parents are just like, can this fucking Christmas be over, please?
It doesn't speak to me because there's no flow to it, in my opinion. I feel like, okay, we're starting off with a Christmas tree, great. But to me as a viewer, like, I didn't know what was supposed to be coming next. Like, you know how it looking at it from on paper and just scene by scene, like, oh, I'm putting together that, yeah, they're getting family together and blah blah blah. But for me, it was just like, okay, well, they're going to cut a Christmas tree. Yep, it's Christmas time. Okay. Well, he's decorating the house. Okay, he likes to decorate. There's people coming over. Okay.
You're
But
missing a
it's
piece. This movie is made up of all the things you do before Christmas. You get the tree, you start the decoration. That's the kickoff, right? You've eaten your turkey. Now it's time to put up your tree. The tree comes after the turkey. I can't say that loud enough for certain people. The tree comes after the turkey. And then what do? You got to figure out the Christmas shopping aspect. And Clark gets to go Christmas shopping at Marshall Fields. He brings the kids. And what does he do? He gets hit on by some saleswoman using American-esque tactics to show that there's no panty line. Rusty learns a very valuable lesson in that scene.
that was my favorite part of the entire movie. Just
That's
because
a lot of people's favorite part of the movie.
well, it's also because like it's a relatable scene to where he's consistent with, you know, his like scumbag daydreaming of Christy Brinkley in the original Vacation movie. And it's just funny because like Griswold is a scumbag. If he could have, he totally would have nailed that chick.
Could he have, though? No.
I mean, if he had the opportunity to, he would have tried. He would have tried. So I kind of put those two together and was like, this guy is a piece of shit. And yeah, sure, he's gonna buy a pool, which by the way, don't buy a pool in Chicago. Don't do it.
It is a huge pain in the ass. But there's some really shifty salespeople that try and talk you into anything, Dan. They try and talk you into anything.
So for our listeners who may not know us, yes, I used to sell pools, and Mark has a pool. I didn't sell a pool to Mark, but the irony and the coincidence of everything is just stunning to me.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes.
Everything kind of goes from scene to scene. It more was like a play to me.
It is. It's meant to be scenes of Christmas, things that you do. So after you buy the present, you're at work and everybody's trying to dick measure and talk about, oh, what'd you get for this is what I got my wife for Christmas. I have a bigger dick than you, and that doesn't happen to me anymore. Nobody talks about that, but it's like a point of pride. People like ask you that question. Thank God for the virtual world where there's no time for bullshit. Let's get right to this meeting. We only got 30 minutes.
It's thank God no one asks about your dick anymore.
Oh,
Always so awkward.
Only at Marshall Fields. Only at Marshall Fields.
But the thing, my hang up on it is that they, whoever the freaking director is, I'm not even going to look it up because I don't care. It just doesn't flow smoothly to where, like stuff like Animal House, to me, there's a logical progression. For this movie, I just couldn't connect everything together. I was wondering, like, if there was a throwout line out there somewhere where he said, okay, we got to get the house ready, all the family's coming over, then we're going to do this. I feel like that wasn't said, or if it was, I missed it because I was just tuning out.
And don't you dare insult the writing on this movie.
And it's not the writing, it's the piecing together of the scenes to where it's like, is this like, you said it's inferred that that's the case. I wish that they just flat out said it, because from what I remembered of this movie, I knew that they were at home, but when they say vacation, I was expecting them to go somewhere for Christmas vacation. That's why I'm trying to piece it all together. Like, do they go somewhere in this movie? I think they're going to go somewhere because I mean, why else would you call it Christmas Vacation? Why wouldn't you just call it National Lampoon's Christmas? Because they didn't really go on a vacation; they stayed at home, which that's not a vacation; that's a staycation.
But the magic of Christmas is supposed to be a vacation from the drolbs of real life.
Hey, man, you can spout that off to someone else. I vacation. In terms of work speak, yeah. Like, hey, oh, are you going anywhere for vacation? No, I'm staying at home. Sure, I can understand that. But in a movie, Christmas Vacation, you should be fucking going somewhere. Go to the birthplace of Jesus. Go to the parents' house.
You going to
Go to
Israel?
somewhere else.
You going to Israel this time of year?
Go wherever, because it's a vacation. Or if you're going to stay at home, just say, I'm home for the holidays, which I think was a movie too.
It was a Home for the Holidays, definitely a movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis in that one?
I forget.
I don't know.
But
Whatever.
you're thinking of I'll Be Home for Christmas with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, which I believe had Jamie Lee Curtis as his mom. But
maybe.
this movie, Christmas Vacation is the cast. The National Lampoon's Vacation team. They just made a Christmas movie out of it, written by John Hughes, which is why I'm like, don't fuck with the writing, bro. This is a great movie.
Writing's fine. It's just I wish there was a little bit more for someone who's not a fan of it. You know, I wish there was a little bit more to kind of allude to everything. Or I'm sorry, that you didn't need to allude to everything, where it's just like, oh, okay, just say fucking right off the bat, Uncle so and so and Grandpa so and so are all coming over. Notice how I'm into this movie because I don't remember any of the characters, but that's I just need a little bit of that so that way I know what's going to or what's supposed to happen the rest of the movie.
But initially, they weren't supposed to have those people over, right? They had just the old people coming over, and then Dennis Quaid shows up with fucking, all the people and Ruby Sue, and then everything goes to shit.
But those are the only ones, right, that came uninvited.
Yeah, no, Lewis and Bethany and Bill and Todd, or no, Bill and Mary were all invited, but I don't know about you. I think you're skipping over the neighbors portion of it, and I don't want to skip over Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this movie, pre Seinfeld of fame, maybe just as Seinfeld was taking off, but she's great in this movie.
Ages fantastic. Like seriously, she looks the same.
Really does.
Like for the neighbors, right? What did the neighbors really have to? That was another. I mean, it was entertaining, you know, like fucking Christmas trees going through their goddamn windows, lights just blinding them at night. But did they have any other purpose to the story besides that they were neighbors that didn't like each other?
Remember, this entire movie leads up to Clark's meltdown. The whole movie is Clark trying to make things right, everything going haywire, and Clark flying off the handle.
Which was a great scene. That was my favorite scene with Chevy Chase. I thought he freaking nailed it in that scene where he just fucking goes ape shit and, you know, he lets it fly and everyone's just like taken aback. I thought that was his best performance in the entire movie because everything else was just like, all right, Chevy Chase, I get it. You're funny. You're going to act goofy. You're going to act like a horny old bastard. Fine.
Oh, man.
But that was the scene. I liked it. I liked that scene.
You've never had the weird relatives all showing up for Christmas? Did you come from large Christmas celebrations or like smaller ones? And how has that evolved for you?
We would have like Filipino gatherings where the, in quotes, aunts and uncles would all get together. And so basically just like a lot of family friends and huge parties. And you know what? I enjoyed them because there was a lot of great food and the kids would go play with the kids and there was a lot of kids around the similar ages. But once again, even going to some of those other houses where those Christmas get-togethers took place, it was more festive than what happened at my house. I don't think we ever really hosted too many of those. We would always go over to others. And when we did go out, or when we did do something for Christmas, it was to go somewhere else to like look at lights. Like I remember driving like 2 or 3 hours to see just lights one time, and it totally was not worth it. And everyone was just mad at my mom for that. Like, this is the stupidest thing ever. And this was in the middle of like central Illinois, somewhere in like Amish country, I think. Um, I don't know if that's the truth or not, but it was definitely around like some type of Amish or Mennonite country that we drove to, and it was a day trip, and we regretted it because we all wanted to stay home. If we wanted to look at Christmas lights, we could have drove around the neighborhood to look at Christmas lights.
But that's why this movie should connect with you so much. The Griswold family outing to get the Christmas tree was your Christmas lights. The same feeling is what the movie's trying to bring out. To remind you that not all Christmas is perfect, but at least you've got your family. And everybody's got a crazy Dennis Quaid that'll go kidnap their boss.
That we definitely did not. We never had anything like that. We
No
didn't have
kidnappings?
no kidnappings, no, yeah, nothing like that.
Nothing, not even the police coming?
Nah, never, never. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Police did come one year because someone forgot to put the car in um, park or put the e-brake on, and it rolled out into the middle of the street. But
Did anybody hit it?
no one hit it. It was just very uneventful. We never really had any major stuff happen.
That's the most boring police called story I've ever heard. We may want to edit that out.
I mean, that's the extent of bad stuff that would happen. Like for the Griswolds, something else that always bothered me is like, why the fuck would you have these get-togethers if these people just aren't pleasant to be around? I guess that's something that never resonated with me because I never had to deal with that. If we didn't like someone or we didn't want to hang out with people, guess what? We didn't fucking hang out with them. Simple as that.
I'm going to tell you, your family freedom is in the minority. And I don't mean
I'm
that
sure.
in any
No, I
way
get it.
but the lowest denominator. Like, coming from somebody who had a large family gathering every year, and we'd have to drive everywhere because we never fucking hosted shit, and we'd always end up in the car for hours. Though I do have amazing memories of hanging out with, my cousins and all the kids there and stuff. There were definitely like those family members that you were like, yeah, no, it's Christmas, so we're gonna see them. I
Never
had
had.
so many of those. Oh, it's Christmas. I guess I'm gonna go see this uncle or that one or whatever.
So all of my family. Now my wife, or no, I'm sorry, not my wife, but my mom was an only child. So growing up, obviously we never had to worry about that side of the family. There were some like second cousins, and that's a story for another time, but nothing specifically for the holidays or anything like that. But all of my dad's side of the family, all of my cousins, aunts, uncles, fantastic. Fantastic. Never was there ever a story or ever a thought in my head where I was like, oh man, I don't want to go over there and hang out there. It's like, no, no. They'll feed us like kings. They'll give us a gift, we'll have a good time, play with the cousins and all that stuff. But yeah, like I was pretty lucky from that regard. And still to this day, I kind of miss the holidays because uh, we would have like a few, cousins dinners and things like that, and like celebrate the holidays that way. It was fun, always fun. But for this, I'll put in quotes as, not to be degrading to anything, but like these American problems to where it's like
I
You
was
have
gonna
to hang out
say,
with people that you don't want to hang out with. Like, get the fuck out of here. What's wrong with you?
no,
Why
it
don't you
is.
just
So this is very much the reason. It is 100% in American nuclear family tradition that is in very much ways tied into Christianity as well, where everybody got together to celebrate for Christmas and everybody would go to church and everybody would get together. All of those things are things that eventually you're just like, I don't want to fucking do this, but you did it.
yeah.
You did it. And you know, I think that looking back at some of that as an adult, I always had a great time because I'd always be around those cousins that I enjoyed, or we'd always do something. It
Yeah.
wasn't bad, but now that I'm an adult and am kind of working to carry that baton, I identify more and understand the Griswold situation a little bit more. That you're just like, yep, got to do it. We're going to invite everybody over, and the kids don't understand why, and the parents are just like, well, that's what you do on Christmas. You gather your family together, and you know, even if they're people you only talk to a couple times a year, you gather together and you try and have a joyous fucking group, right? You want to be the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And when it comes to like all those like different Christmas traditions and everything, I said that, we never really had too many of those. But the Christmas tree, I want to go back to the Christmas tree thing. For you, in your household now as an adult, do you cut Christmas trees? Or are you artificial, and will
Oh,
you
we
try
have
and
an awesome fake one with LED lights that you can control from an app, and it has an app timer. Oh, fuck that. I want to clean that shit up. For a
okay, cool.
while, I wanted it. I wanted to bring it back, and so my kid could enjoy it. And my wife's like, no. And now I'm just like, she's like, I mean, if you, she wasn't like, no. My wife didn't say no. She said, you can clean it up.
Mhm.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, now I'm clean that shit up. Let's just get a I hate stringing lights. I used to have one of the same Christmas trees you're talking about with a little tape at the end of each row, and you'd have to feather them out and put them down. And I was never good at it because my ADD brain was just like, complete the task, complete the task. Not trying to be artistic. I'm not fucking Bob Ross and making happy little trees. My tree looked angry because I didn't fluff it enough. And I'm just like, then I don't need to do this because you're going to get Mark's version. My wife fluffs the tree now. She's very good at it. Though the tree now is just like a turn it, pop it, and it just falls down, and the very little fluffing necessary. But not having to string the lights. Do you remember the lights as a kid?
Oh, sure.
And how
Yeah,
many of them would just not fucking work? And you have
of
to
course.
go through and flick all the goddamn lights.
Yeah.
Now we have LEDs that you can literally like on your phone just draw a pattern and it appears on your tree. I fucking
Oh,
love
that's
it.
pretty cool.
It's the coolest thing ever. And I bought it at Home Depot, or no, I bought it at Lowe's. It is a Lowe's tree. Nobody talked to me about deer pee. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest. I might ask somebody at Lowe's if they worry about deer pee with their real trees outside, just to be funny now. Um, you know, I mean, I think that's a challenge to our listeners to somehow find a way to record somebody selling trees or you're buying trees from and asking them about deer pee. If somebody can do that, we will personally reimburse you for your Christmas tree.
There are certain places that you can shop that I would say that would probably you would get some type of response. I don't know if you still would today, but you might. And I don't know. For those in the Chicagoland area, you know where we're talking about because you probably know me. You know where I worked. I don't know. Check it out and see how ridiculous it is if you were to ask that to a salesperson and see if what they respond with. I
I
don't know.
kind of want to now.
You should. I really think you should, and we should post it for the podcast.
I kind of want to. Um, So speaking of the Christmas tree and the lights, what other memories do you have about putting up decorations for Christmas? Did you have one thing that you saw every year at Christmas that you're just like, oh shit, that's back? That you have? Did you keep it? Did you not? For
There's
example,
a
in this movie, the cups, the little reindeer, I have them now as an adult. I bought them. The little reindeer mugs. Did you have anything
there's
like that?
now we're talking about just tree decorations.
Tree decorations, things for the house, anything like that. Like what do you remember about Christmas? What was the traditional decorations?
I mean, there was, the typical bows, garland, stuff like that. I still have some of the artificial garland um, that from my childhood. So that it's got to be like at least 35 years old, at least 35 years old, still in good shape. We'll lose like a sprig here and there,
Smell
but I
like
mean,
no deer pea smell though.
no, it doesn't. It smells exactly like it did, just PVC plastic. That's pretty much what it was. Um, there were some decorations that were around for a while. One of the weird things that I remember in my head, I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but I remember popcorn ball ornaments, and they stuck around for at least a couple years. I don't think we like threw them out and made new ones. I'm pretty sure they were like the same ones for like a couple years in a row at least. At least
Okay.
that's what I remember in my childhood. But yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing out there. My wife decorates the trees now. We actually keep ours up a good portion of the year because from October all the way till St. Patrick's Day, it's a different themed tree.
So you tree up pre-Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're breaking the rules, man. Breaking the rules.
Well, I mean, it's a Halloween tree during October, and then it's a themed tree for the birthdays, and that leads all the way up to Christmas. But yeah, we'll usually do the Christmas decorations after my birthday, which
Okay.
is right around Thanksgiving. So it kind of just by default it lands that way. But after Christmas, we'll keep up. We'll keep it neutral as a tree, and then there'll be like a Valentine's Day tree. Then there will be a St. Patrick's Day tree theme of decoration on there.
I like it. I like it. Now I have a feeling that somehow this is magically going to become something that happens in my house. Thanks, Danny.
I'm not a big person on, and believe me, I've hated Christmas trees for a very, very long time.
You hated something? That's shocking.
It's when you worked where I worked, and Christmas music was from November 1st until January
Welcome
15th.
to retail, bro. Don't start with me. The Muzak started playing that shit in October, where I worked too.
Yeah, but when you worked there and you had no way to get away from it, and you had to fluff Christmas trees. So here's a fucked up story. So I was fluffing a Christmas tree. You know what the most demeaning and makes you feel like shit type of action that can happen when you're fluffing a Christmas tree? When the owner's daughter,
There's so many things.
yeah,
There's so many
when
things that come to mind.
when the owner's daughter comes over and inspects what I'm doing in terms of fluffing the Christmas tree, and then she proceeds to do like the stupid I know better than you, like, oh, and then moves like a sprig maybe 5-10 degrees, and it's like, see, that's how it should be done. It's better that way. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I hated Christmas because of being around all those decorations, hearing the same type of Christmas sales pitch videos that we played throughout the store, along with all of the asshole customers that would come in during the holidays and talk about how I'm trying to decorate a tree. How many lights do you think I need? Read the fucking box. It says it right there on the box of how many you might need for how big your tree is. Like, okay, well, I'm trying to light up my house too. How many boxes of lights do you think I need, and what type of hooks do you think I need? I don't know, man. I don't live at your fucking house. I don't know what it looks like. Just
Wow.
figure it out.
Sounds like
Figure it out.
somebody needs to sing a Christmas carol.
Dude, it was anything but jolly in that store during the holidays. And I'm surprised that, if there was any point of us going crazy and postal during that holiday season, it should have happened 10 times over. But
I'm kind
somehow
of
we
shocked you
managed not
allowed
to.
your kids to celebrate Christmas.
Right?
I feel like you're more of a Festivus guy.
It was bad for a long time. But thank God my wife really turned things around and made me appreciate the holiday season more. And I
Did
get
she
excited for
defeat
it
you at
because
the feats of strength? Is that what happened? She pinned you
no,
down and told you all the things, and then you had to
I
accept Christmas?
I was just like, I'm not a big Christmas person because of, like I didn't do a whole lot of Christmas stuff, and I don't want to decorate or do stuff with decorations because of my previous job. And so it was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, but yeah, now I'm definitely up more for it just because of the kids love it. So that's a great thing. So if I'm like Clark in any way, it's because if the kids will get some type of appreciation for it. But to me, it doesn't seem like they do. That's the thing that bothers me.
They do more than they'll tell you. Let me ask you this then. So you mentioned it a little bit, the lights on the outside of the house. Did you decorate outside as a kid?
Yeah, yeah, for
Did
sure.
you have any? Was there anything specific? Were you a blow mold household?
No, no. I actually am not a fan of blow molds.
I'm not a
I
fan
don't
either. Do you know how much blow molds go for now, though? OG blow
probably.
molds are worth more money than I can imagine. Like, it's so dumb how much classic blow molds go for on like eBay or Facebook Marketplace.
Hmm,
It's stupid. Stupid.
interesting. Yeah, I was never a fan of those types of decorations. I thought they were kind of dumb because you can't see anything. You can't see the light, really. Sure, it's a little bit light, but um, yeah, those wired deer and stuff like that, was never a big fan of those. We just did lights. Lights, the C9 bulbs, which are the larger ones, and then the smaller Italian style lights, those. And at my house in Tinley Park, my second house in Tinley Park where I grew up, we had a nice, tasteful amount of lights on the house. And then, you know, after a while, it's just, as I got older and my dad just didn't give a shit, they didn't want to put lights up after I was grown up and out of the house. So that was that.
Do you do lights in Florida?
We'll do a little bit of lights. We decorate more indoors as opposed to outdoors. We do have like a few inflatable decorations that we put outside. I think we have a Grinch and a Mickey Mouse or something like that. And we put some lights out there, and we have like one of those cool little light projector things that you can have it on the garage. And yeah, so we have some stuff to be festive. It's not as elaborate as the Griswolds, for example, but I would never dress up my house in all white lights either.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
You need to have a
That
little bit more.
that scene where he's stapling all of the lights up there gives me so much anxiety because I'm like, you're gonna put that fucking staple through the light and the whole string's gonna go out and you're not gonna know. Oh, Jesus Christ. And who's gonna
No,
fill all those holes on your fucking roof?
yeah, man,
Does
I
does
don't
it
know.
does that scene register with you in that way?
No, no, I just thought it was Chevy Chase being stupid, and I was like, okay, all right, well, here's a guy just doing that because I've never seen anyone do that. So I was like, well, why would someone do that? Do people do that? Like,
Oh,
have you
there's
ever
like
seen?
competitions,
I know there's
bro.
competitions in that, but like, no one fucking uses a staple gun,
Well,
do
not
they?
anymore. Not anymore, but back in the day,
I feel like that's just so dumb that people would do that.
What do you think they used before they had the little plastic clippers? Everybody used to have wood siding in their house so they could do that.
I don't know. Like I said, it didn't resonate with me, so I don't know.
Here's another question for you, right? We talked about decorating. We talked about festive things that you remember from your childhood and that. What about the corporate gift?
Uh-huh.
What is the worst work gift you've gotten during your time as a working professional?
The worst gift that I had was nothing, and the excuse, and I will say excuse, not reason, and the excuse as to why there was no gift. And oddly enough, this was at a place that I was talking about earlier that I worked at. And there was always like a Christmas bonus that was given on paychecks. It wasn't a lot, but you know what? It definitely meant something to the employees where it's like, oh, I didn't know we got Christmas bonuses. And like, I think even if you were part time, you still got something. Um, so yeah, that was pretty nice. I thought like, oh, that's not necessary. Like, I wasn't expecting anything. And one year they decided to forego the Christmas bonuses because it's just been a down year. And that was the logic of, or that was the reason of saying, or I'm sorry, the reason of us not getting one. It was stated that the Christmas bonus would not be happening this year because it's been a rough year for the company.
Was this like 2008?
Around there, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Right. I'm pretty sure it was. But here's the thing. I can understand that to a certain degree. Because I wouldn't want anyone to really put their business in danger of, like giving out Christmas bonuses if they could not afford to do so.
Yeah, I'd rather have a job than a bonus. I got you.
Absolutely. Of course. But you know what else they did that year? They froze raises. So no one got a raise. No one got a Christmas bonus either. And the year that I got upset about it was, I think it was 2 years after, so like 2009, 2010,
Yeah.
when we had already, shit hit the fan in terms of the economy. And yes, business was down, but not so much down in comparison to maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, right? And so the logic, once again, it wasn't even addressed. It was just no raises, no bonuses, nothing addressed by corporate as the reasoning as to why. And I want to say that I had left the company after a while, and I was speaking with someone while I was at one of my other jobs, and they said like, yeah, we haven't gotten raises since 2008. Like they just stopped giving raises because of that. And they keep on saying it's because of the economy. And yeah, it definitely didn't last that long. Like you could have done some type of raise or some type of Christmas bonus. And even Christmas parties, the money for Christmas parties was at a standstill also.
Have you ever worked for a company that did like an all-out Christmas party?
No.
Oh. I worked for a company for a short amount of time, enough that I was there for one Christmas. And they had an end of the year party. Like they literally rented out like a ballroom with a hotel nearby. They would get a room block situation and they would do a full open bar with raffles and a DJ and just give shit away. And I'm like, at that point, I'm not like young, right? I'm married. I'm an adult. I'm like a leader in the organization. And I'm just like, who the fuck lets you do this HR nightmare?
Yeah. Here's
Like,
some liability.
boom, dude. And it was like snowy out that night. So me and my wife, left. I didn't drink to excess or anything like that. I had a couple beverages, had some dinner, said my hellos, and left. And the stories you heard the next day and the next week, I'm just like, no wonder this business is like small, and this is not things that happen in corporate. Like, it was like full on craziness. Just like, oh, that's gonna come up to HR, but she's in
some
HR.
relations happened.
Oh, just drunk people telling people off.
Hmm.
People just driving home snockered. Like, just a lot of liabilities, But a lot of the people that worked at that company been there for a very long time, been there since it was a small, mom and pop operation, and that's just how they got down. And I was like, that's awesome that still happens. This was like within the last 5 years or 6 years. I'm like, that's awesome that still happens, but no, thank you. Maybe
Yeah.
back in the day. Back in the day when after retail we'd all go out drinking, because what are we gonna do? We got to be at work in a couple hours anyway. But yeah, no, crazy.
Hmm.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
What about like for you? Did you have like a really good gift from any type of like Christmas bonus or anything like that?
Um, I've gotten a couple like cool, solid gifts. I've been at companies where they just do a nice bonus. And then I've had things where like my boss would get me something, and nothing says thank you, Merry Christmas, than a box full of premium frozen meat,
Hmm.
which I've
Yeah.
received fairly recently. And that was awesome because it was just a bunch of like high-end steaks that I cooked. It was awesome.
A company that you and I worked for,
Yes.
I really enjoyed those holiday gift baskets, the Harry and David gift baskets that we got. And like, I know it's not the most elaborate gift, but god damn it, those pears are the best goddamn pears
You
that I've
mean
ever had.
you mean the Harry and David gift baskets that you got?
Oh, so you never got those, huh?
I was not in that. I was just the guy that lived in the attic.
Mm.
Yeah, no.
Interesting.
No. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Though I
Well,
did used to work for a parcel delivery company um at a place, and every year they'd give out turkeys for Christmas. There'd be like a box truck. It's funny, a box truck at the place where you put boxes in trucks. That as you were walking out one day, they just hand you a box with a turkey in it, and I'd be like, "What if I had to take the bus home? Like, what? What
what if it was like an old lady that like was
the?"
like, I can't carry this
There
box.
were no old ladies working there, dude. They would have.
Okay.
They would have. They would have. It wouldn't have been okay. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, no, it was. That was their Christmas bonus. No money, but here's a turkey. Enjoy. And at the time, I was like, living at home, and I just come home and be like, look, I brought a turkey home. Here you go.
And was it viewed as like, oh wow, this is great, or is it like, oh, okay, turkey?
It
I
was,
guess.
it was the two. It's the second one because my parents are like, I mean, because I was in college, I was living at home, going to like, Governor State, and I'm just like, I mean, here's a turkey. Enjoy. My Christmas bonus is your Christmas bonus, and they'd be like,
I guess we're cooking another
I,
turkey. Damn
I
it.
mean, put it in the freezer. We'll figure it out. And at some point, whenever my mom would cook a turkey, I'd be like, is that three-lettered what can brown the turkey? And she'd either say yes or no. And then I'd enjoy that turkey just a little bit more.
What about so going into like just because it reminded me of the different scenes in this movie. So did you have like a favorite scene for the movie at all that really just sticks out in your head is like, oh, this is what this movie's all about?
I think the end from from the cigar to the Brian Doyle Murray cameo. That whole just freak out was like, yeah, no, I could see that. That's awesome. It was just hilarious. Like that monologue where he goes crazy. He's like, if any have any last minute gift ideas for me, he just goes absolutely nuts.
I would say I would agree with that because it's my favorite Chevy Chase moment. But yeah, I think at that point it's the only time that made me actually really feel anything in the sense that like, yeah, good for you, Clark. Fucking just go off on people because you've had a shitty run of luck this Christmas. And everything else was like, oh, something happened to the Griswolds. And I just didn't get any type of like, I didn't care. If anything, it was just frustration. Like,
But
God, I
I
can't
think
believe
that
these guys are
that
morons.
I think that that's one of the themes that comes up in really good Christmas movies is while they say that the holidays are happy, that people struggle, and being able to identify and see echo in the struggle, I think gives you more permission to feel that way, more comfort in you're not alone. I mean, there's so many Christmas movies that are kind of a downer.
But this isn't really a downer to me. This is more of like just flat out
The
stupidity
guy
of
has a fucking meltdown
I
and
didn't feel
cusses
sorry for
out
him.
his parents, and his house gets blown up by sewer gas from his shitbag cousin who's asking him for money while he's piling his shopping cart full of things, obviously for him and his family.
The 3 bags of Purina dog chow
Yeah.
was my favorite.
Like that scene in and of itself, you're just like, it's fucking Christmas. I have to be nice to him. It's fucking Christmas. He's gonna leave soon. Like it's just that I don't know. I don't know why it identifies with me. I have a great relationship with a lot of my family, but I just like it's like permission to not be holly and jolly and
Hmm,
not be blowing smoke up everybody's ass that everything's perfect, right?
yeah.
Some of the movies you see around Christmas, everybody's perfect and singing in a line, and oh look, it's White Christmas and Bing Crosby and all that bullshit. And then you've got, for lack of a better word, the Yo Bundy Christmas here from National Lampoons and the Griswolds, who are your everyman. And I'm just all about the everyman Christmas. It's the same reason people like A Christmas Story, is because it's fucking blue collar as hell. It's great. It's not some highbrow, oh, I'm in Connecticut in the hills in a nice band. Like, no, that's not everybody's Christmas. But we still get together and we still enjoy each other and we still find ways to have, love and happiness. And I'm a big fan of that. I like the happy ending. It's
As
not
do I.
nearly as depressing as It's a Wonderful Life, where basically the guy's fucking killing himself.
That's
It's a
not even
little
the end of
less.
the movie. That's the beginning of the movie.
But that's what I'm saying. Like classic Christmas movies are downers.
Yeah, but I guess I just don't see this as a downer. I just see this as a folly of like, uh-oh, those Griswolds always getting into shit. Like,
Well, it
oh,
is a
there's
National Lampoon movie.
yeah. But that's my point. It's not, this to me doesn't stand out in comparison to any of the other Christmas movies in the sense that it's so different. No, it's the same thing. It's just, if anything, all those other downer Christmas movies just do it better. And is there some humor in there? Yes, absolutely. Is it funny that Randy Quaid says shitter's full? Of course. And
No,
he's
no, no.
sitting there in
It's
front of the
not.
neighbor,
Yeah,
but
that he's sitting there in his in his wife's robe, pumping shit into the storm sewer, just smoking a heater with a fucking flappy hat on. Oh, it's just Christmas. It's not Christmas until the shitter's full.
let's talk about the namesake of this movie. Mark, did you have any favorite Christmas vacations?
You know, I can't say that we took a lot of vacations around Christmas. We never did the out of town thing. Um, I've done a few like after Christmas, but never like a we're going somewhere else to celebrate Christmas. I've always had the blessing of being at home or around family for Christmas as far as I can remember. I don't
Okay,
remember a not in town Christmas. Though
really.
I have after Christmas gone some places that are pretty cool. I'm still a huge fan of Disney around Christmas because I mean, so much joy.
Yeah. I had I was pretty lucky in regards to Christmas vacations in the sense that I we did go to Disney I think at least a couple years around Christmas time, and it was fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I was younger, I was caught up in all the Disney hype and everything.
It's
And
called magic, Danny.
well, if you believe in that type of thing, I don't know. But it was fun, and Disney is great. I've taken my kids to Disney. We used to have the annual passes, and I believe on Thanksgiving, our one of our favorite memories is going on Thanksgiving and going there in our pajamas and just enjoying the Christmas atmosphere. We didn't even necessarily go on that many rides. We just took a few pictures at a few different spots, and it was just a good time. They had the little snow bubbles falling out of the sky, and yeah, it's just a good time. So, um, for that, I would guess probably my Disney vacation when we stayed in Fort Wilderness was one of my favorites, and they had just uh, so much for a young child to see, and it was a good family road trip too.
But you road trip there, huh?
Yeah, and that's my favorite. When I was growing up, that was my favorite thing to do is road trip because we'd throw on, the whether it was the cocktail soundtrack or an Elvis cassette
Wait,
or
the cocktail soundtrack?
yeah, absolutely. During road trips. So like, yep, we'd be singing like "Don't Worry, Be Happy" on the way down there. You know,
You'd be
and
hippie
we do
hippie
the
shaking,
typical. What's that?
be doing the hippie hippie shake and listening to
Um,
Kokomo.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's what we did. I remember specifically. There's like the Elvis cassettes, the cocktail soundtrack. There was the Pretty Woman soundtrack that was played every now and then, but like I wasn't a big fan of that. And then of course you would try and flip and scan through the stations that would go. You know, we'll see if we can catch anything. But a lot of country music on that trip from Illinois to Florida. So we tended to just do a lot of cassette tapes, but good times, good times. But anything else that you have for the movie? Any thoughts on the movie, or any characters or scenes or
Nope,
anything like
but
that?
I do have a very important road trip question. Did you have like Game Boys or anything like that? Were you a fully family interactive road trip family?
I mean, I wouldn't say fully interactive in the sense that my parents would drive. Occasionally, my sister, who is of driving age, would drive for a little bit. But we and I drove this in high school on pretty much its last leg. But we had a Volkswagen Vanagon camper model. So for
Ooh.
those who aren't aware, it's like those big Volkswagen vans, except you could pop open the roof and there was a bed that you can sleep on. You could pull the back seat out and that would be like another bed, and there was a table that would flip up that you could, my brother and sister would do like their homework on it or read a book, or my mom would do work on the table. I would take my GI Joes and have like a little action scene on the throughout there. But occasionally, we would play like a game. I think we had Mastermind. Do you remember that game? where you had to guess what the other colors were, and yeah, but
A little
that's
bit.
what we do. And I wouldn't say that it was like, you know, fully interactive, but they certainly tried to keep me entertained in the sense that I was, 6, 7, or 8 at the time when we were going on these road trips.
So it was not even like normal bench seating. It was like a full RV almost.
Kind of, sort of. So you had the driver and then normal passenger seat. There was a seat that was like not Top Gun style, but faced the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So, and then there was the bench seat on the very back. So yeah, it wasn't like a normal car, or like a normal minivan. It was just a fun car to have. And I was telling my wife relatively recently, like if I had FU money, I would buy one of those vans and just like pimp it out, and it would just be the most fun vehicle to drive. A lot of good memories.
It would also be incredibly unsafe on the highway, but it only go like 40. So
It was not aerodynamic whatsoever. It could go, around 70, but if there was wind, you would feel that van just shake back and forth.
oh man, that is awesome. That is great. I don't even know how to like. We can't top that. That is the story of the episode there.
Huh. There are a few good memories that I had from my childhood. So, but
We were worried. I was worried at the beginning of this that it was a very depressing Christmas podcast, but really what we needed to get to was the vacation element of it, and then
which there was no vacation in this movie.
there was no vacations movie. So let me ask you this: do you hate all of the vacation movies, or just
No,
this one?
no, I wouldn't say. I would have to re-watch European Vacation. I don't recall enough of that movie. The first Vacation, it's good, entertaining. The most recent one, because it's most recent and it has Chris Hemsworth, and there's just a lot of good humor in it. Gosh, who's it? Is it Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny?
Yeah,
Great cameo in the movie with him. So fucking funny. That scene is my favorite scene in the entire movie. And yeah, so I will say that it's a fun one. But I don't know if you noticed that there was a spin-off of Christmas Vacation called Christmas Vacation 2 with Cousin Eddie, and it
no.
was released in 2003. I never watched it, but
Ooh,
I'm not going to. You know what? I might watch it for this podcast, but other than that, I'm never gonna attempt to watch it for any other reason. Before we end this episode, I've got to ask you one last question. Mark, can you do this movie all day?
oh hell yes, I can do this movie all day. Every Christmas, I can do this movie. Can you do this movie all day?
No, I don't think that's surprising.
I
I
think that
can't do
all
it
of the
because
listeners are shocked.
there's no vacation in a movie called Christmas Vacation. So no. Is it entertaining? Parts of it are. I am not a complete hater on the movie, but because this is the first time that I've seen it all the way through, I think it aged poorly. It doesn't hold up now. I cannot relate to it because of, if you don't like some of these people, just don't hang out with them. That's just what it is. And I just don't relate to the overboard stupidity that happens in the movie. And it becomes like almost an unlikable family with the exception of the mom. So Beverly D'Angelo, because she's a loyal wife. And Chevy Chase is a good dad because he wants these kids to have a good time, right? But then those kids are fucking assholes. And maybe that's the reason as to why they just recast him every single movie, because you know what? Who cares about asshole kids? Just toss them off the side, and then just get someone else in. And then you could either like them, not like them, but if they're going to be ungrateful, fuck it, recast them.
So what you're saying is, to you, this is not the happiest Christmas movie since Bing Crosby tap dance with fucking Danny Kaye.
Cannot say that it was, man. And the I'm very surprised by the IMDb marks of 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes is 68%, and then Metacritic at 49. Once again, I think something with Metacritic, man. I definitely align with Metacritic a lot on a lot of the movies that we
Do you have
watched.
a second job as the Metacritic meta?
Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should polish up my resume and send them a few episodes of our podcast, or maybe just a few clips of our tasty morsels, which is on TikTok, YouTube, and also Instagram Reels.
So like, subscribe, send us your comments, your thoughts, your love for the Griswolds, and those videos of you asking Christmas tree salesmen about deer pee.
Yes. Till next time, everyone. Dan the Part-Time Avenger, Mark the Resident Jedi. We're out.